Hello everybody and welcome back. I am Mr. JP, as you can see by my nice new sign, and the game is out of ore. Thank you to the subscribers, viewers, and all of the guys on the Discord for getting involved again. I don't think you can actually know how much it means to me. I've been pretty isolated during COVID and then afterwards with family with cancer and stuff, so I haven't been able to go out. And yeah, I can feel the difference in my mental health from the interaction. So a big thank you, and a big thank you to my international crew from over in America. Got some Vietnamese watchers as well, which is a bit crazy. So yeah, like, I'm a really grateful person. But yeah, this is my new thumbnail sign. I thought, you know, as we get more parts, it'll probably improve. But yeah, I'm going to make one of these for 7 Days to Die and Space Engineers, because those games do it well. It might be a bit harder in Railroads Online, but we'll see what we can do. So yeah, obviously we've got the grader, we've got the spider there, and we're just going to go and do some digging, I guess. Yeah, I've got to stop saying I'm terrible for it. So yeah, back to the 501, and I'm just going to install down here an extra piece of equipment, because I'm digging away, and we are getting to where I'm going to want to hit the lithium. So I'm just going to install... I've probably just yeeted my loader for miles there. If it'll let me, come on, there we go. No, back to. Oh, I might have to take another scrape to get this in. It won't let you install in the ground very well. There we go. So that's that in. So we've got another hopper. So we've got 3 hoppers around here now. So... I move the mouse away from the mute key. That's, if my sound goes, it's because the mouse is active and it's clicked on that mute button up in the corner. I'll try and keep an eye on it. But yeah, that's what keeps happening in my videos when the sound goes. So now we know. So setting up GPS, get your bucket to the position you want, unless you're in the 302, in which case it's attached to the hull. And 0 your GPS. There we go. Now we've got a nice little level that tells me where the floor is. Perfect. So yeah, this session I am going to go into the rich stuff, and I found the manual forward reverse keys, which were really handy, which is this lithium seam just here. I've got a lithium seam in here, and I'm just going to gently scrape the top off the edge, tilt the blade down so we don't delete too much material, and I'm just going to put like a scoopful in each of these hoppers, sort of thing, and just increases that uptake rate on those little particles, so it should help reduce the lag and hold it back for a significant time. But once I've dug enough, then I'll fire up my machines and I'll go and process some waste and do some road building whilst they run through, and then I will sort of take a halt, quit, restart the game and dig again, because that's what you have to do, because you never get that FPS back. Once you've dug up to that FPS limit, it just stays there. I don't know, I'm not a programmer. I don't know, but something's going on. I know that. I can tell that. I'm enough of a gamer and enough of an engineer to know that there is something going on that's hinky. It's hinky and stinky and I don't like it. It's a memory leak. But I'm sure Christian's going to get it fixed this Friday. The fact that there hasn't been an update between the two indicates that there's probably a fair bit of work going on in the background, people, you know. So yeah, as I say, the method to this is to get all 3 machines running at the same time. The profit will still go in at the same speed because it's all going through one jaw crusher. So that means that it's sort of 3 into 1, which means the jaw crusher gets quite laden. But that's no bad thing. So it means it's running at full efficiency. And it means I'm only paying for 1 instead of 3, which is kind of handy. So yeah. I like the fact that it pushes that bubble in front of the blade, because that's material that when you were working with the balls might have been deleted. So I'm pretty convinced you get more material per cubic metre of stuff you dig into the bucket than you used to do with the balls, but with the balls you could actually get more in the bucket, because I haven't had any back end loader leaning up when using this bulking method. You can see you can just scrape very gently off the top of a seam like that, and it just gently takes off all the material. It's brilliant. As I say, I'm really excited for where the saw mod's going, looking forward to those big haul trucks. Looking forward to getting some more advanced machinery, but really looking forward to some performance and optimization. Really, it's all the game needs at the moment, along with a better wash plant, something with a few more advanced options, maybe some valves for the conveyors so you can divide the output of the waste into different directions. You know, just looking forward to the game getting a bit more depth, really. Likewise, I'm trying to get a bit more depth in the game as well. I'm trying to go deeper. It's kind of what the game's about. I've been working the bulldozer up there. It's quite a highly effective way of doing business. I managed to load up the machine to 17 grand, 17,000%, before I started running out of frame rate. I didn't want to push it because it was, you know, I'd moved a lot of stuff. So, cause that's the trick, is not pushing it and crashing a game and losing all of that progress. So yeah, I probably am screwing up my rhythm a bit, going to the wrong hopper occasionally, but it's not going to make that much of a difference. The idea is to always empty your bucket into an empty hopper. And I found I can dig for a little while like this. It's going to be a long gameplay video, by the way. It is just gameplay. This one's just going to be an upload for upload's sake, really. But I enjoy it. I enjoy filming this. It gives, doing this live, I don't write a script or anything, and it feels really... there's a buzz to it, and I can just delete it when I finish filming, you know, if I don't like what I've said or something like that. But I'm choosing not to do too much of that because I can be really self-critical, and just recording something and throwing it up there, it feels dangerous, you know. I used to be an adrenaline junkie since I got injured by the NHS. I just yeah, getting done over by a doctor, that's the Royal Reenie, right? But yeah, since then I haven't really had much of a chance to do any adrenaline stuff, so this is as close as it gets. YouTube is the new adrenaline seeking thing for me. So yeah, bit sad, I know, but it's better than going out in my incredibly powerful 4x4 and killing myself or somebody else. I'd much rather get my kicks in VR these days, because the old aorta out of my heart just isn't up to it anymore, apparently. I'm not so sure about that, but I jumped out of my van earlier when went out with my dad to get some firewood. He loaded the firewood. He's in much better condition than me, considering he's 75 plus. And I drove the van, and I just jumped out the van, and I felt this feeling in my chest where basically where all the organs move and pull on stuff and it's all been messed around with, it ain't good. So yeah, the words "we won't be doing that again" came out of my mouth. But yeah, you learn these things. You got to learn your limits. Like, you know, I carry a Hoover, but I can't swing it around. Yeah, you just have to learn. Just have to learn to work within your limits. It's a bit like Out of Ore. The game's got limits at the moment because of the software stuff and this lag problem. So you just learn to play within it. You know, I've changed the way I run my machinery, try to reduce the overhead. Probably going to rebuild it all again soon, like all of it. Purely to reduce sort of machine overhead and stuff, as in how much machinery I'm using rather than my PC. So yeah, hopefully this video will show you what I'm spending my time doing. So when you don't see uploads, it's because I'm just digging. As you can see, I've spread out the wide flat area here quite a lot. I'll continue to do that in the direction I'm looking at the moment, because that's where the platinum seam is. Looking forward to digging into that one, because it's bigger than this lithium seam, so it should make us a fair amount of Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge being my term for money. Other people say greenies. There's a few different terms for money in the UK. A few of you might be familiar with our Cockney rhyming slang. Vinnie Jones is a classic for it in some movies that may have been popular on the other side of the big Atlantic pond. For those who don't know, if you've seen him Gone in 60 Seconds, Vinnie Jones is a guy who plays the Sphinx, I believe. And he's a quiet English guy who doesn't say anything for the whole movie. He comes out with something at the end and everyone sort of looks at him with the words, "Huh? You can talk?" Which, I'm like the antithesis of the Sphinx, the total opposite. But at the same time, when something really, really stupid goes down in front of me, I have a tendency to take the Generation Kill Sergeant Colbot attitude of, this is so retarded I can't even comment, and I just walk away. These days that applies double because I can't get worked up about it, which is why getting steamed up about Steam is bad for me. But you know, there's a lot of intolerance there in the players, and a lot of lazy players, and lazy players are the reason we've got crummy games like Fortnite. And if you ever see someone, you know, pull out a taser and shoot the kid doing the Fortnite dance, it's because modern problems require modern solutions. People Fortnite dancing at my airsoft gig used to get shot with no warning. That was quite fun. I used to supervise sort of 11 to 18 year olds when they decided to shoot at each other with toy guns that fire plastic bullets. Yeah, probably not the most wholesome activity, I know, but I'll tell you what, some of the kids we'd get in, they were really troubled at school, you know, having problems, all that kind of thing, or they got bad home lives, and they'd come down and they'd forget it for the day. And they'd really respond as well. There was quite a lot of satisfaction to it. After a couple of weeks, these kids that were, you know, mouthy little nasty pieces of work at school are all of a sudden behaving themselves at school. And it was weird because the teachers were coming down like, what the hell are you doing to these kids on a Sunday? We've come down here to find out, because they've changed their behaviour completely in the last 3 weeks. And so we showed them what we were doing, and basically we were teaching them firearm safety, basic handling, basic weapons training, giving them a slightly broken down and more child-friendly version of your basic infantry training. And because they were there because they wanted to be there, and because in the first briefing they were told that if they misbehaved we'd kick them out, and that was the end of it. You know, they'd sit out for the rest of the day. There was no ifs, buts or maybes. These might be toys, but they are also to be treated as real firearms, and therefore if you misbehave, any shenanigans in the safe areas, anything like that, shooting people like when they're not wearing goggles, having a loaded gun in the safe areas, you know, basics of range safety. And they loved it. You know, the total change in behaviour was amazing. So I know guns get a lot of bad press, but I only play with ones that can't really hurt each other. I mean, an airsoft gun will take your teeth out, it'll blind you. They are dangerous. But you can also have a beer with the guy you just shot afterwards, you know, like a festival or whatever. It's good, clean fun. Good excuse to run around in the woods on the weekend. If you haven't played airsoft, it's like paintball, but you don't have to wash your gear with a jet washer afterwards. It's a lot nicer. They're a lot friendlier too, in my opinion. Paintballers have got a certain attitude that I don't like. I supervise paintball games as well. And I, as a marshal, I used to get hit more at paintball than at airsoft. And it's because paintballers are basically graffiti artists with a gun. Yeah, I'm not keen on paintballs. So yeah, turns out also that even the ones that contain water and are meant to be harmless and don't die, they contain an antifungal that doesn't agree with me, which is why when I got hit a long time ago across my airsoft goggles and it sprayed through into my eyes started burning. But hey, we won't go there. I'm getting angry. But Out of Awe, like I've said a lot about Out of Awe in the last few days, and I'm still loving it. It's great fun. Just dig. It's like Minecraft without the creepers, you know what I mean? Or Gold Rush without the crummy weather and the frozen water supply and all of that crud that they put in to try and make the game more interesting. But if they wanted to make the game more interesting, they should have gone for some bigger maps and bigger machinery. My god. TV series that it was meant to follow had all this cool machinery coming out and we saw none of it in the game. I mean, if nothing else, I'm so thankful for Christian for taking freaking Gold Rush apart, because this game is this is a Gold Rush killer. That's the end of it. So yeah, Out of Awe is far superior. Someone needed to kill off Gold Rush as well. Those developers were getting lazy. If anyone's heard me griping about developers, there is a set of developers that needed to kick up the air. Yeah, kicking the shebs. That's the word we're looking for. Let's go Star Wars, kicking the shebs. So yeah, that's Mandalorian, by the way. So yeah, yeah, I've got some wide-ranging interests. So yeah, don't knock a bit of military discipline on a misbehaving child. It works. Give them something that they want. Give them something that can be taken away from them if they misbehave, and all of a sudden you've got behaviour. So I guess the secret of education is finding the right way of teaching them. That or threatening to kick their butt, one of the two. 'Cause we used to do that too. Told them that if they misbehaved too much, we would take them out on the plane into the woods and give them a good kicking. Kind of ironic because the parents were signing a release form for airsoft, and essentially that release form gave us permission to do anything to them that was within reason. I used to shout at them, swear at them, throw fireworks at them, and any injuries that they took were kind of covered by that caveat of the catch-all of that release form. So it's kind of handy. It made working with kids quite nice. You know, we'd passed all of our like there's a check in the UK to make sure you're not some kind of weirdo who likes touching kids and that kind of thing, or a criminal, because you're not allowed to work with kids now. And since I passed all those, it's all right. But I'm pretty sure that if the people involved in those checks had come down and seen what we were doing to these poor kids on a Sunday, they'd probably have had second thoughts. But you know, the kids were loving it. They're there because they want to be there. If they don't want to play, they don't go out of the safe zone onto the pitch, you know. And in that situation, it's a matter of, if necessary, phone the parents, or you know, a little bit of TLC, give them a little bit of a chat, see what's up, because it might be the home life that's getting to them. Sometimes they just need to talk, and normally we get them back out on the pitch within half an hour. They can run around, start shooting at people, maybe lend them a nicer gun so that they could really get someone at long range, sort of thing, and yeah, cheer them right up, you know. Sometimes that's all it takes in life, a little bit of effort. I miss it. I do miss airsoft. I'll get back there somehow, maybe as a DS again, I don't know. But you'll see as I'm digging with the loader in here, I'm starting to destroy material above where I'm digging. So you don't want to go in too deep next to your rich seams. You want to skim it. Skim it from the top with a loader. There was that weird mouse unlock again. I went to use the front bucket and the camera moved. I'm sure it's my mouse being dodgy. So I'm going shopping tomorrow. I'm going to get some peripherals. Going to get me some joystick love, I think. It's going to be useful in other games as well. So I'm going to stop digging that bit out and just go in that way, I think. So yeah, we're 17 minutes in. I expect to start seeing that lag problem soon. Probably as it has already kind of ticked up on the lag meter in the corner, but I haven't been looking. Concentrating too much on my digging. Yeah, 43, 38. Yeah, we're getting to the edge of dig. It's 20 minutes in. Every time, 20 minutes in. I did a little video about this for the earlier little 6-minute split, just for the developers, saying thank you for the game, because well, as I say, I've been waiting a long time for a game like this. Really have. It's like farm sim for mining, which is what I was looking for. I think I even typed it into the messages on farm sim or something a little while back on Steam. So might have been in the Discord actually. Can't remember. But yeah, they've done it. Here's farm sim with quarrying. I love it. It's a little bit more advanced processors, some more machinery, a bit of optimization. Yeah. Like a mate of mine said, a long time ago, we'd had a little incident. We were all a little bit shaken, and one of the new guys was sort of like, "You guys do this regularly?" I'm like, well, we try and avoid it, but yeah. And he sort of started shaking and went a bit pale. I'm like, "Is he all right?" and one of the guys sat next to him went, "Oh yeah, tube of Anusol, bottle of Jack Daniels, homeboy's good to go." And we're like, "What? What the heck are you on about?" But that's the kind of stupid thing that gets said and talked about when you're very bored, sat in the back of various vehicles on your way to and from a job. So yeah, I've had some fun times in my life with some fun people. And I'll say that one thing, they don't build armoured vehicles for comfort. They're all sharp corners and cold metal work inside. I had to sit in one for an entire weekend on Salisbury Plain and it was freezing! Absolutely freezing. I mean, yeah, I like messing around and playing the soldier, but yeah, I also like my central heating people. Jeez. Yeah, I stayed tucked up in the back of that warrior, got the engine going, got ourselves nice and warm, it was good. But yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning, everything metal work on an armoured vehicle becomes like some kind of nasty cold cutting tool that goes straight into your flesh. It's horrible. And they're always full of military kit as well. I learned how to sleep on an LMG, and someone else's Bergen at various points. Managed to tuck myself into the driver's compartment. That was a nice spot to sleep. It was a bit warmer in there. Good fun. Yeah. Been looking at modern mining equipment and realised they've like air conditioning and got radios now and all kinds of mod cons. It looks like a nice life. The guys who built the local bypass back in the 90s, some of their machinery didn't even have doors. They said they didn't mind because it meant that in a roll they could just dive, and the TS-24 scrapers they were using had a tendency for the engines to explode, and since they were sat right over the engine it probably meant that it gave them a good chance to get out before they disappeared in a ball of fire. The TS-24 was the only machine I wasn't allowed to ride on because they were classed as too dangerous. So yeah, health and safety, 90s, never. So yeah, we'll just dig a bit more out, keep an eye on that frame rate because I don't want to lose all the material I've dug because it's got lithium in it. People are probably thinking, why are you putting lithium for a processor? What are you doing? Experiment is the word. Experiment. I just want to see what goes through and how much cash we got. We got a couple of mil off just putting it through a processor. I want to see whether we get a couple of mil putting it through this jaw crusher. You see? See whether the jaw crusher does actually rob us of stuff. I've been told it does. So. Yeah, it's not when you tip out the bucket that the lag hits, it's when it hits the ground. You watch this. It goes in, and as it hits and they all collide together, it drops, then it comes back. And you can see it more in my long drop hoppers. It's really weird. Like, as I say, I'm not a software programmer, but I am an engineer, which means that fault finding and problems are my thing. And but software is a bit like someone who's a robotics engineer looking at a human body for me. You know, it's just a bit different. It's all the same theory, but it's just a bit different. I do love the way those conveyors look. It's beautiful. So much better than Hydroneer. So yeah, as I drop that in, it's only when they start hitting the bottom that you'll see the lag start to kick, which is a bit... That's not weird, but it makes me think it's to do with the physics and the collision detection rather than the graphics generation. Interesting that it starts to kick in after a certain amount of time gaming as well, which makes me think it's a file getting too full, like a cache file limit or temp file limit or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, you drop and then the frame rate hits there. And it's as those balls hit the bottom and they just go into physics and collision, and the computer's got to calculate all of those physics and we get a frame rate lag. It might be that... I don't get why the physics are calculated in the graphics processor when I've got a freaking multi-core i7 9th generation chip just sat there idling at 10% whilst the game's running. Why isn't the CPU doing the majority of the number crunching? Why is it always on the graphics card? I'm just kind of confused about the system architecture here, because this isn't the only Unreal 4 game that does this. There is a game called Railroads Online, you've heard me talk about it, but the system architecture of that and the way it's been built means that the whole game is running on one core. Now, multi-threading and multi-processing and parallel processing says that if you use more cores, you get better performance and a faster game maybe. Or separate the tasks in the game out over the cores, I don't know. But I do know that in a year, that game has developed less than Out of War has in 6 weeks. So the developers of this game, if you're thinking of slating them, think twice and go on to that other... well, you can't go on to the Railroads Online Discord, they nuked it. They deleted the whole Discord, and yet at the opening screen it's still advertised, join our Discord. You can tell it's run by a German. Yes, it's a German developer and I'm British, which probably isn't helping things. Anyone who's familiar with their history will know that the Brits and the Germans, it's not just football that we don't like each other on. You know what I'm saying? It's everything. Funny thing is, actual Germans in themselves, sat in the bar talking at a barbecue, that kind of thing, I actually love the company. Like, I really like the people. It's just, there's a weird attitude there. I'm going to call it Teutonic. But it's sort of, we do it my way or we don't do it at all. ZK! That's the way it is. Very, very full on. Germany's a funny place. It's illegal to make like loud noises on a Sunday. You can't use a mower or anything. It makes for a nicer environment in enclosed urban areas, but yeah, man, you're going to tell me what to do in my house on my day off? Piss off. Glad I'm British. So yeah, like different things from different countries are a bit weird. Europe's got some highly varied areas in it, and America's the same kind of deal, except you all speak the same sort of language. But the spread of different ideas and the different way you do things across the whole country is just like insane. You've got the East Coast and the West Coast, they've got very different attitudes. Middle of the country's got different attitude again. It's fun. It means that you end up with very varied people. People talk about multiculturalism and, political correctness, woke, racial equality, rah-de-rah-de-rah. But when you've got a country that's already a mixed society, like the UK is a medley of hundreds of different origins and places. America's the same kind of deal. It's made up of, the immigrants from the rest of the world during the 18 and 1900s, same as the UK is really. We're already multicultural. Hate to tell you guys, but all you guys jumping on the woke bandwagon, all you younger folks, when I was growing up in the 90s, we had sort of already got past all the stuff that you're having a problem with. So if you're all full on woke and full on into it and giving it all that and getting on people's cases about political correctness and stuff, just remember one thing: we're bored. Bored of that because none of you are living up to it. Talking about the generation that abandons their mates at festivals, I've heard that from people under 30 so often. It's like, oh yeah, my mate took too much stuff and she was laying in tent, so we all went off to see this gig, and when we came back she was covered in her own bonnet and we were like, oh my god, we've just killed that person, she's dead. And yeah, guys, like, you need to start showing more social responsibility for the people around you. I know we live in a really closed down society where everyone's got their head in their phone, but yeah, sometimes you've just got to log out of Facebook and log into real faces. It's insane. I see it on a daily basis. My favourite one was the lady who walked square into me whilst onto her phone. Like I was stood with another person as well. It's not like I was walking towards her. If I'd been a lamppost, she'd have really hurt herself. As it was, she got like my nice padded chest. It was padded at the time as well. I wasn't so skinny. So yeah, people are walking around on their phones like that, and they're basically in a state where they'll just walk off a cliff, and it makes you wonder what kind of awareness they've got for the people in society around them. Or frame rate of 16, we're getting down into it now, guys. So yeah, this frame rate thing has to go. It really does. It's starting to really grind my gears, I guess would be the best term. But yeah, we're getting there. Out of Oz, the holes are getting bigger, spreading out. Just took a layer off the lithium. That should get some cash in a minute. Let's see how the lag does on this hopper. So I'm getting more digging time than I normally do in, which is quite significant. So this multi-hopper thing works. It's probably why the bulldozer was getting me more material into the hoppers. So multi-hoppers, multi-processors. Yeah, we're going to be doing a rebuild. We are going to be doing a rebuild. I think what I'll do is load with the loader rather than the dozer, and just use the dozer to fill the loader area, like this. But we'll see on that. Because I do enjoy the dozer loading. So, and I've got ideas for stripping off all of that. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what goes on. We shall see what goes on, because this area needs to get deeper as well where I'm at. Probably going to get that spider excavator in we saw at the start of the video. Going to get that out. Find out how that works. Going to get the grader out as well. That's near my thumbnail photo. It's in the thumbnail photo. I better do a grader video. I haven't actually done a grader video. Also need to do a Space Engineers video for one of my subscribers. You know who you are. I've chatted to you on Discord. Thanks for testing that out. It's a good day. So I'm going to do a video of that and just show you around my world. I'm not going to demonstrate how to do anything. in that video. And the idea of this is like, get involved, join the Discord. I'll put a link in the description on this video. Because in there I've got different folders for different games for people to post their screenshots. I can put in channels for people to post videos and stuff. Do a walk around of your Out of All world and post it in my Discord so we can see what you're up to, you know? Let's start in what is a single player game. The only way to do anything multiplayer is to share what you're doing. Post a photo, post a video, you know? I don't know whether the guys at Out of All like the videos I'm making or whether they even know I'm making videos like NMC, but I hope they do. I hope they've heard me say thank you. I might post my developer thank you vehicle on video on Steam just to try and spread the love there. I mean, jeez, those people. On the one hand, you've got the whining complainers that really can't type, and on the other hand, you've got people who show up to troubled games with about 2 hours experience in it, yelling about how good it is, when everyone else is yelling about problems that have been systemic in the game engine since the word go, and these people won't admit there's a problem, and I'm sure they're paid chills. You know, in the same way as you get people who are paid to maintain the, shall we call it, official line of certain things. They are called, you've got debunkers is a term. They're not debunkers, they're narrow-minded, close-eyed, blinkered people who have been paid to promote that agenda. Popular Mechanics comes to mind, Mr. Biggs. But yeah, you get them in all fields, whether it's 9/11 crop circles, ufology. There are debunkers, there are people who are investigating the real deal, there are truthers. Personally, in my life, I've hung around with a few truthers before it was popular. They started the truth movement, and they're now dead. And not through natural causes either, some of them. So yeah, if you're paranoid, it's only paranoia till they're actually out to get you. Then it's real. But yeah, basically people in the UK who live in Portsmouth don't go swimming in February if they're not already swimmers, and that's apparently what happened. But yeah, when the judge at your inquest says that your death will remain a mystery, not is a mystery, that means they know something about your death that they're not willing to say. They are saying that your death will remain a mystery. And judges are quite careful with how they use language. Like, you can't be a judge in this country or a solicitor unless you've got like English. So much like doctors, they're very careful about what they say, and the fact that that's the written record is highly significant. We won't get into the fact that who was with that night is dodgy. She appears in the freaking inquest under 2 different names. So yeah. If you're hanging around with a Jones or a Smith and you don't know their parents, worry, it's probably a cover name. It's the most common name in the UK. No offence to anyone who's Smith or Jones, of course, but as I said, I want to meet your parents first, or your grandparents. We have a joke in the shops in the UK, like people put up signs that say refunds only given if purchaser is a company over 50 and accompanied by their grandparents or something. Kind of says something about the attitude in certain areas of the UK and certain trades. Though, to be fair, I worked at a company that had an urn above the customer service desk, and on it had the words "Problem Customers Ashes." So yeah, I guess customer service comes into different spectrums. Quite impressed. I'm doing quite well on this frame rate thing here by spreading it out over the 3 machines. So maybe it's a file that gets too big in the hoppers. But I've tried running machines and it doesn't seem to make any difference if I run a machine to sort of delete the material as we go and keep that file size small. I haven't noticed any improvement by doing that. In fact, the frame rate seems to drop faster because I've got more animations going. Maybe it's a good idea to keep the machines away from where you're digging. But my mind isn't really big enough for that yet. So yeah, we'll get there with it. This whole hopper system might get expanded yet. Get some serious parallel processing going. Got a thing for parallel processing. Don't know why. I think it comes from Hydroneer. You could build like lots and lots of the digging things attached to a conveyor system and just make a load of money whilst you're AFK. away from keyboard. For those who aren't up on the acronyms, I wasn't for a while. Took me a while in the Discord to figure out when people were talking about GR, they were talking about Gold Rush, the game. Because I just never really thought of it in those terms. Out of Aura's Treble O got me as well. Like, I'm an acronyms person, but sometimes I'm just a bit slow on them. Other times I come up with acronyms for things and people look at me like, what? Why have you come up with that? It works, but why? It's just a way to explain the world away. Like swear words. If you consider some of the swear words as acronyms and come up with things to fill it in, it's quite a lot of fun. Over the years as a tradesman working in people's homes, you learn to control it, but there are occasions where it's just got to go. I stood up under a pointed lamp and there was blood running down my face. It was a hard hit. It shook the entire house. The lady came out of the room as I was still hugging my head. I was nearly on the deck and I was about to start swearing. And she's looked at me and I've looked at her and she's just gone, "It's okay to swear." And I was like, good, and went off on one. But yeah, that left a dent in my head. That was really nasty. Like any lamp that's fixed to a wall with a spike on the bottom that's mounted below 7 feet, you, my friend, are a clunge. Whoever mounts lamps that low, yeah, you need to die. You deserve a special place in hell, next to the child molesters and the people who crunch their crisp packets in the theatre. Yeah, so we're dropping down to 14 frames per second. I'm going to do one more load out here just because, just one more. It's the game all gamers play. Just one more round, just one more thing, just one more this. How far can I push it? Yeah, that's life. That's living. Pushing your luck. It's the only exercise I get anyway. It's the only exercise I'm allowed to do. I really must take a break and eat something at some point. Breakfast and all that. I'll have a shower eventually, but due to the fact that my house is freezing and the heating's not on yet, I'm gonna wait till this evening. Possibly clip my beard as well. Don't know. Been debating that one for a little while, you know, getting decorative, clipping it all into funny shapes and stuff. But since no one ever sees me, it's kind of, there's a low motivation for that. I say no one ever sees me. I had a mate round yesterday. Got one mate who comes over. Gonna go out shopping tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. Gonna be a lot of fun. Keep on saying just one more, don't I? But we're 37 minutes in and I'm still digging, which is that is good. That is good. "15 frames per second is not good, all things considered. But as I say, optimization's coming. Optimization's going to happen, I think. I hope. I pray. I can't live with this frame drop for much longer. I may end up on a different game. And I don't want to end up on a different game. I want to get deeper. I want to make a big hole. I've made a few big holes in conversation in my time, but not in Out of Aura yet. I want to find the bedrock. I haven't found the bedrock yet. Maybe I should have started digging in one of the valleys. That's why if this FPS solution is a game restart, it might not be a bad thing. I'll head immediately over to that other tower and hit some of those big seams down there that I need to investigate with the drill. Yeah. Let's take one more out of here. Get a bit more progress on this spread out mining area, and then I might come down here with the dozer and just doze all of that material toward that hopper. Let's see how that goes. Really am struggling with that viewpoint. Can't wait to get a joystick and have a, you know, use the joystick for this. Have the viewpoint on the hat or something. I don't know. Never really used the joysticks for PC gaming. I've used them in other applications, but they were kind of specially designed for those applications, and they weren't quite the same. If anyone's used hot ass setups when flying, you'll know what I'm talking about. Along with touchscreens and some other technologies that didn't catch on but were quite advanced and quite useful, but we won't be seeing them in general mainstream use because they just won't. They just don't have any margins for safety built into them for the civilian world. So the software guys told me. I was doing the hardware side and operations, so I really couldn't tell you exactly how it all worked. Just know that I've still got circuitry. It's good fun. Always makes me laugh, like, from the truth world. You get people who are conspiracy theorists. I prefer to be a conspiracy factist. It's a conspiracy theory that the government destroyed the World Trade Centres, but it's a conspiracy fact that those buildings, that collapse is hinky from an engineering point of view. The maths just doesn't add up. Couldn't tell you why, neither could the people involved, but they want to know, because they want to build better buildings, basically, that don't do that. So yeah, it's interesting. As I say, it's a conspiracy theory that aliens are coming down and kidnapping people. You've got a certain amount of witnesses and stuff, but they're very rarely corroborated. It's a conspiracy fact that UFOs go near nuclear-powered vehicles and facilities all the time, and that there is a link between the two. And they've been officially seen by, you know, military security guards, pilots, people who are going to lose their job for being nuts. And they've still reported it, and they've been witnessed by multiple people. It's on radar. Radar doesn't have nervous moments. It does have faults, and it does see strange things occasionally. But it doesn't go, oh my god, it's aliens. But when it sees something strange that's corroborated by 2 pilots in aircraft, you know, civilians, they also have problems when they report this kind of thing with their careers. And you've got 35 passengers on an aircraft saying the same thing, along with the Navy going, yeah, it's not us, but we can see it and we're kind of worried, you might want to turn away. That's an official sighting. 3-way corroboration. You can't deny that kind of thing. There's something going on, there's something out there. Even if it's only a natural phenomenon, we need to know what's going on with that. And why is it attracted to nuclear stuff? That's the other ring. You know, anything that goes near the nuclear stuff really needs examining, because it may not be friendly. The whole war against alien things is going to be the interesting one. Ooh, 10 frames per second. 11, 19. Got to remember that I've got rich stuff in this thing and I better stop. So, and the video's getting really long. So yeah, we'll part that up. Hopefully the aliens won't kidnap my ore out of the machine. Lag. Do love the fact there's no full damage or anything stupid like that. It's just so nice to be in a game where that stuff doesn't exist. Spend so much of my time playing realistic games when it comes to your physical health, where you have to eat. That kind of thing. So yeah, we've got 12 grand in there, got 10 grand in there, got 12 grand in there, so that all adds up quite nicely. Got a nice even sort of thing on the machines. Fire that up. Yeah, got crushed material going through, excellent. So yeah, down here I've got this little thing going on with my dump trucks. And yeah, so put it under here, and you can see that it's starting to come out at a fair pace now, but it seems like it's not landing in that dump truck. It's a bit weird, but it will start landing in that dump truck and then it'll fill up really quickly. I didn't want to do that. Pause that. There we go. Take the parking brake off, because what I do is park the second one right behind it. Is that actually filling? Or is it just deleting material? That is actually filling. Good. And this deck needs expanding a bit more for this, but once it's built a bit bigger so I can turn around at this end, it'll be alright. And yeah, with the handbrake off, I can just sort of push that other dump truck sort of out the way. And yeah, it's all good. Go get on the 301. Keep expanding what I'm expanding over here. Whilst that dumper fills. So you can see how I'm dividing up my time. I'm sort of doing stuff down here, doing stuff over there, and all that kind of thing. See if the GPS works on this one. So yeah, you just click 0. 0 is that line, puts it into the middle, and then up is up, down is down. So if you're higher than the line, green buttons, you're higher. Pointers, chevrons, whichever indicators. And if you're lower than them, you're lower. It's not rocket science. and then wherever your bucket is will mark the height. So I'm obviously my bucket's higher than that floor here, and then it's lower. See? Nice and easy, real easy. And so by just mounting my bucket at roughly that floor height, I can cut something that's roughly level with that floor, which is how I'm going to do the road behind me eventually. Just run in there, grab another scoopful, run back. So the idea is there's a little hollow here that I want to smooth out. So we're just going to gently tiffle the material out the bucket across. I think tiffle's a word. I've heard people using it in gardening. They just tiffle the material out and spread it out across the floor there. Then go and get some more. So yeah, I'm just digging in at all these seams. There's seams all over the bottom of this hill. So I'm just establishing the ground level. This will give me something to load up dumpers from conveyor belts or whatever. Whatever I choose to do with those seams really, I need a flat place to work from. Down here seems suitable. This south road might get adjusted soon. I don't know. Well, that scattered that well. Yeah, just keep doing a bit of digging through here. Dig and dump, dig and dump. I'll turn around this time. Do it a little bit different. Yeah, dig and dump, and then that dumper truck up the top there should be full. So we'll go and get that. Yeah, just back it up, spread it out, just like that. Park that for a sec, jump out, because I'm going to have to drive across here with the dumper. So we'll just do some smoothing. Yeah, I should really come down here with the grader, but since I don't know how to use it yet, I need to learn. That'll be a fun video, and that's going to be a separate one, because this is shaping up to be an hours long gameplay vid. But it gives you an idea of what I'm doing in the game, how I'm getting where I am, why I've got so much cash. Like we've slowly gone up from where I was at somewhere in there, I think 2,200,000. We're now at 4.9, and I haven't sold any vehicles, haven't done any of that. So yeah, just go along here and smooth this bit out because it was giving me problems when I was running the dumpers around. Yeah, I'm getting lag. Those dumpers are getting full. Well, one of those dumpers is full. But I'm not worried about the waste of material. There's plenty in those machines, so I'm just going to run along this inside edge, not the high side. I want the high side to stay high, so I'm not going to smooth that. But I need to dig through here with the loader as well. Get me a bit more height on this road as well. That's why I'm coming down here with a dumper. Just get a bit more height, get a bit more smoothing in. Myself a nicer road. And then I'm going to dig out the high side and put it on the low side with the loader a bit later on. Once we've got some more packed roadway really. You can see it packing down. It's almost disappearing all the material I've dumped, right? And you think, oh, that's pointless. But once this is packed down and hard, as it were, you can't like smooth it anymore. And then you put the next layer on, you can't smooth below it. And so it just slowly builds up. So I'll just keep dumping on the low side, and eventually you end up with a bit of a chamfer on the road, a bit of a camber, that's the word, camber. And then you go along it with either a loader or a grader or a bulldozer, and you can take this camber out by just cutting it off one side and putting it on the other. And yeah, it seems to work. Okay, let's go get a dumper. I wish you could tell the difference easily by the colour or something in that menu. Alright. As you can see, the dumper in front of me is full. Getting behind it, ram it out the way. And if you think that machines like this don't ram each other, think again. Certain machines have actually got ram pads built into them so that dozers can get up behind them and push them. Scrapers are one of them. You'll see them with tyres across the ram pads for the dozers to get in behind and push and that kind of thing. So yeah, they do park them nose to tail as well like that, I've seen it. See a line of machines all parked up nose to tail, front and the rear one wedged. So that well, 140 grand, okay, yeah, so that lithium's definitely going through. That's a good sign. I like lithium. I like profit. We like profits. Gotta sound like a Ferengi. for those who self-identify with various sci-fi cultures, I'm a Mando, and I have been since I was a kid. I read the Star Wars books and realised that the Force is great, dark side and light side is brilliant, but the true culture that has most influence on the Star Wars universe is Mandalorian, and it's the only one with a decent set of life rules. I personally class the Jedi as slightly evil. They might actually be the dark side, and as for the dark side, well, sometimes you gotta wonder. Sometimes you gotta wonder. Palpatine was just trying to provide a benevolent government, and so was Hitler. So yeah, either way, the light and the dark side in Star Wars both have flaws. Mandalorians don't really, like, we'll ignore Disney's The Mandalorian and the modern stuff. They don't really get involved in the politics, they just serve whoever's paying, and everyone's a future paymaster. They're a nomadic society of mercenaries. That has more realism in it than any other light or dark side craziness. And we used to do airsoft games that were like Star Wars style, and you can get like modifications for airsoft guns and glowing bullets. It gets crazy. Maybe I'll do a video on Tracer at some point. But yeah, so you get people running around and they just suddenly go force power, and when they did that you weren't allowed to shoot at them or anything, and they yell what force they were using, and you had to judge how it affected the thing. These people are well into it as well. It was quite scary. At least with the Mandalorian mercenaries in that, they didn't have force powers, they just shoot at people. Oh, we did give them a hand-to-hand right, which meant they could engage hand-to-hand, and because they're wearing sort of, shall we say, Clone Commando style armour, but it's the predecessor to that, the original. Kyle Katarn took Mandalorian armour and turned it into the Katarn armour. So yeah. For those who aren't familiar with Kyle Katarn and the storylines of some of the Star Wars games, there was a Star Wars game called Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2 a long time ago, back in the 90s. Doom style, built on the Doom engine. I've put the handbrake on that truck. And it was very fun. I really enjoyed Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2, they were good. Very good games for the time. For the time. Got to bear in mind for the time. But unlike Doom, you could actually look up and down. It was a first for me in gaming. Oh, along with Heretic. Heretic was like that as well. Oh, that was a good game. Blood. Blood was brilliant. I don't know if it was international, it might have been British only. That was good fun. And oh, there was a really good British game. What was it called? Something about war. Hard War. Hard War was brilliant. So yeah, British software houses have they've had their fair share of cool things. Everyone's probably familiar with a Windows tank game called Battlezone that's all green wireframe graphics from like the first Windows. They actually did a second version, and that's a 3D shoot them up with graphics based on the moon, and you're fighting the Russians and an alien race, and that's all pretty crazy for an old game, you know. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I did enjoy that. Still do, because I've got it. It's available on Steam. It's a good one. It is a good one. I do like some old school games. Another good old school game, if anyone out there is interested, because I know a few of my people who are watching this game haven't got machines to run it, or are in a life position where they can't necessarily afford it. And I believe Win, as in W-I-N, and TDD. So all one word, Win TDD. That's Tango Delta Delta. So the whole thing, Whiskey Indigo November Tango Delta Delta. If you search that on Steam, I believe it's free, or it's only 30p or something, and it's a modern version of an old game called Transport Tycoon, or Transport Tycoon Deluxe. And it's the original of the Transport Tycoon games. It's the one, the first, the only, made by Micropose and Chris Sawyer, I believe. I might be wrong about that. But it's definitely a Microprose game, and it was brilliant at the time. It's brilliant now. The more modern version allows at least for better screen resolutions, and yeah, I recommend that one. Really recommend it. It's good fun. So as you can see, I'm slowly building up that road to that other tower, and digging away. Got that waste heap there, so that I can just like when I'm not doing this whole running back and forth with waste materials, which I'm probably going to stop doing at some point and start digging it out from down there, I can just let this run. I can just walk away with 17 to 20 grand in every one of them and just AFK it, and come back 10-15 minutes later, processes are done, save, quit, reload, start digging again. So yeah, the game is definitely not broken like some people are saying on Steam. As I say, the ignorance I see there really gets on my wick. But then it's the same as all those people who just aren't willing in life to work through their problems, because there's a lot of people out there with bigger problems than those people. I've met a few recently. You know, you worry that you're in a bad place, and then make some YouTube videos, some people start talking to you, and you realise things might not be that bad. You know. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. As you can see, we've already made a couple of $100 grand out of that lithium, and there's probably a lot more in there. Not really much more, 49 grand, there you go. There is more lithium in there. Take the handbrake off on this truck. Move the other one in position. And yeah, this is how I'm spending my day at the moment, along with AFKing and doing paperwork forms, Discord responses, YouTube responses, and that kind of thing, you know. Getting down in the NMC Discord, reading my way through that, trying to glean anything I can from the game to pass on to you guys, and yeah, this is where we are. So I'll be opening up that mine again soon, because that leads to these two lithium seams. There's lots to go on. I've got lots to do. It's a funny thing about this game, it's a really simple game. You self-define your tasks, and all of a sudden you've got more than you can shake a stick at. Like this road is turning out to be a bit more of an effort than I thought it was going to be, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. I think I'll be able to speed it up by starting to take the waste material from down here rather than up there. But it's a good way of getting rid of it, and it's a good way of moving it. And it gets it out of the way. I don't have to move it again at the waste piles. I send the loader in, and I load up the dumper and I bring it down here. Just means that loading up the dumper takes 2 scoops instead of sitting there for ages up there. And it means you can get quite a lot of road build done as well. Like that. It's a little bit closer. So I'm in 2 minds. I might actually move a lot of the equipment down the hill, like the processors and everything, get them away from where I'm digging and see whether that improves things a little. It's all the fight against lag and frame rate, really, you know. Yeah, it's taken me 2 or 3 minutes to get up and down this hill. It needs smoothing or making less steep. Maybe I can go around this bowl with the road, or go back into this hillside and then come down like that in that little bay there that I started building. Perhaps I can do that. Not really sure. Not really sure. We'll see how it goes when I start digging out the seams and where the holes end up. But as you can see, it's having a little bit of a paddy going up that slope. You can change down by taking your finger off the accelerator or your foot off the pedal or whatever, but it changes up again, and then you bog in on the next steep slope. So yeah, see, already full, lovely. So yeah, I'll just keep relaying material backwards and forwards like this, and probably catch you guys on the next video, I think. But I hope this gives a fairly longer viewpoint of the gameplay and how long it takes to do some of the stuff at the moment. It's just like a lot of the games I play, it takes time. It all takes time. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to keep running loads, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in and viewing, thank you for subscribing, and thank you to NMC and Christian, the developer, for the awesome game that is Out of Ore. This is Mr. JP, signing off. Look after yourselves.